The morning rush at Cafe Bloom was chaos wrapped in the smell of burnt toast and coffee steam. Elena Brooks balanced 3 trays at once, her sneakers squeaking against the tiled floor as she whispered apologies and plastered on her practiced smile. She was used to chaos, used to rude customers, but nothing could have prepared her for him. The moment Damien Hale stepped through the cafe door, the noise seemed to fade. Tall, composed, expensive in every sense of the word, he didn't belong here. His tailored suit alone probably cost more than her monthly rent. His dark eyes scanned the room with quiet authority, the kind that made everyone straighten unconsciously. Elena didn't notice him right away, not until her elbow hit a coffee pot and splash. The dark liquid flew right onto the man's pristine white shirt. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she gasped, grabbing napkins. Damien looked down slowly, his jaw tightening. "Do you usually greet customers this way, miss?" Elena Brooks." She dabbed at his sleeve helplessly. "I didn't see you there. I can clean it, I promise." He stepped back, his expression sharp. "You've done enough." The air around them grew cold. Other customers went quiet, sensing the shift. He removed his suit jacket with controlled precision, and for a moment, she caught a flash of something deeper in his eyes, exhaustion, maybe pain, before he turned away. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. But his silence was louder than both. The next morning, Elena arrived at work to find her manager waiting with a nervous smile. "Elena, good news." Her heart sank. Good news at Cafe Bloom usually meant double shifts. "A man came by earlier," her boss continued. "Mr. Hale said he's bought the cafe." Elena froze. Bought as in? As if he owns it now. Her boss beamed nervously. "And he asked for you specifically, said he has a job offer." When she entered the now-quiet cafe that afternoon, Damien was already there, seated where he'd first met her. The stain on his shirt was gone, but that cool, unreadable expression remained. "You wanted to see me?" she asked, cautious. He nodded once. "I've taken over this establishment. I'm restructuring it, turning it into a luxury bistro. I need a personal assistant during the transition. You're efficient, quick-thinking, and apparently unafraid of chaos." Elena blinked. "You want me to work for you?" He tilted his head slightly. "Is that a problem?" She should have said no, should have walked away. But the rent was due. Her brother's medical bills were piling up, and beneath his arrogance, she saw something, a loneliness he didn't even try to hide. "When do I start?" she asked quietly. His lips curved just slightly. "Now." From that day, her life changed. Damien Hale was everything she wasn't: precise, controlled, demanding. He liked things done his way, down to the last comma. And yet, he never raised his voice. He simply looked at her when she made a mistake, and somehow that was worse. But Elena wasn't the type to back down. When he told her not to question him, she did. When he dismissed her ideas, she improved them anyway. He called it stubbornness. She called it survival. And slowly, something unexpected began to shift. One night, after a long day of investor meetings, she found him alone in his office. The lights were dim, his tie loosened, his shoulders slumped, the mask gone. Without thinking, she whispered, "You look tired." He looked up, startled, as if no one had ever said that to him before. "I don't get tired." "You're human," she said softly. "Everyone gets tired." He stared at her for a long moment before replying quietly, "Not everyone can afford to." That was the first time she saw the man behind the billionaire. Not the power, not the perfection, but the pain. Days turned into weeks. Their arguments became conversations. Their silences grew softer. And one evening, as they worked side by side on a late project, she caught him watching her, not with irritation, but something else entirely. "You always look at me like that when you're thinking," she teased. He smiled faintly. "Like what?" "Like you're trying to figure me out." "Maybe I am." He paused, leaning slightly closer. "You're different, Elena." "How so?" "You talk to me like I'm a person," he said, his voice quiet but sincere. Everyone else talks to me like I'm a contract. Her chest tightened. Maybe that's what you need, someone who sees you, not your money. He didn't reply, but his gaze lingered, softer now, warmer. Have you ever met someone who saw through your walls? If you believe love can change even the coldest heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more billionaire love stories from Heartspring TV. One Friday evening, after closing hours, a thunderstorm trapped them inside the half-renovated cafe. Rain lashed against the windows as Alina lit a candle on the counter, laughing softly. Guess the billionaire forgot to install a backup generator. He chuckled, the sound surprising even himself. I don't usually deal with power outages. Welcome to the real world, she teased, wrapping her arms around herself. It's not so bad. He looked at her in the candlelight, her face glowing, her hair slightly damp, her smile soft. For a man who measured life in profit margins, this moment felt priceless. Alina, he murmured, what do you want out of life? She hesitated. Peace, maybe happiness, definitely not chaos. And yet, he said, stepping closer, you're standing right in the middle of it. Her pulse quickened. Maybe chaos has its charm. The storm outside faded into a whisper as his hand brushed hers. For a heartbeat, they stood on the edge of something neither could name, until his phone rang, shattering the spell. The next morning, Alina arrived at work to find him distant again, the warmth gone, the mask back. He barely looked up from his laptop. You're late. The bus broke down. Excuses don't interest me, he said flatly. Her heart sank. What happened to the man who laughed last night? He froze. The question hit something deep. Slowly, he looked up, his expression unreadable. That man doesn't exist in daylight. She stepped closer. Then maybe daylight isn't your problem. Maybe you're just afraid to feel. He didn't answer, but for the first time, he didn't walk away either. Alina didn't know what changed after that stormy night, but something had. Damien became quieter, more withdrawn, yet every time their eyes met, there was an unspoken question between them. He still gave her impossible tasks, still demanded perfection, but sometimes she caught him watching her with something dangerously close to affection. Then, one Friday, everything broke. A woman walked into the cafe, tall, elegant, and wearing confidence like a crown. Mr. Hale, she said, her voice sharp as glass. The board meeting's in 30 minutes. You're late. Alina looked up from the counter, her stomach twisting. The woman's hand brushed Damien's arm, familiar and possessive. This is Miss Brooks, Damien said quickly. My assistant. The woman arched an eyebrow. I see, you've been busy. After she left, Alina turned to him. Girlfriend. No, he said shortly, gathering his files. Ex-fiancé. Her breath caught. Oh. She wanted my empire, he said flatly. Not me. He started to leave, then stopped at the door. His voice softened. Not everyone loves without a price, Alina. But she did. And she hated that she was starting to love him. The next day, the cafe was unusually quiet. Alina worked alone, wiping tables when she heard footsteps behind her. I didn't expect you back today, she said without turning. I couldn't stay away, Damien murmured. She froze. He was standing close enough for her to feel his breath against her neck. Why? Because every time I close my eyes, I see you. Her heart raced. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? He whispered. It's the truth. She turned to face him, and for the first time, the billionaire who controlled everything looked afraid. Alina, you make me forget who I'm supposed to be, he said quietly, and that terrifies me. She stepped closer, tears in her eyes. Then maybe it's time you remember who you actually are. For a long moment, they stood in silence, two broken souls caught between fear and feeling. Then his hand rose, hesitated, and finally cupped her cheek. The kiss that followed was soft, uncertain, real. The kind of kiss that rewrote rules. For weeks after that night, the cafe felt different, lighter, warmer. They worked, laughed, argued, and sometimes fell silent just to listen to each other breathe. But happiness never came without a test. One afternoon, as Alina arranged invoices, a man in a gray suit appeared at the door. "Miss Brooks," he asked politely, "you've been served." She frowned, taking the envelope, and froze. Inside were documents from Damien's legal team, terminating her employment and accusing her of leaking confidential information. Her world tilted. By the time she reached his office, anger had replaced shock. "How could you do this?" she demanded, slamming the papers on his desk. He looked up, guilt flickering in his eyes. "You weren't supposed to see that yet." "So it's true," she choked. "You think I betrayed you." He stood, running a hand through his hair. "Someone leaked the investor files. Your access code was used." "I would never." "I can't take chances," he snapped. "Not after everything I've lost." Tears blurred her vision. "So you'd rather believe the worst of me than admit you're scared to trust." He flinched. She stepped back, voice trembling. "You may own half this city, Damien, but you can't own love. Not if you keep treating it like a business deal." And then she walked away. Days passed. The cafe reopened under new management. Alina found work at a small diner across town. It wasn't glamorous, but it was peaceful. Until one evening, a familiar black car pulled up outside. Damien stepped out. No bodyguards, no arrogance, just exhaustion and regret. She pretended not to see him as he walked in. "Coffee?" she asked, voice steady. He nodded, sitting in the corner booth, the same way he had the first day they met. When she placed the cup in front of him, he whispered, "You still make it better than anyone else." "Flattery won't fix lies," she replied quietly. He looked up, his eyes tired. "It wasn't you. The leak came from someone inside my company. I was wrong, Alina." She swallowed hard, fighting tears. "Then why come here?" "Because I realized something," he said softly. "You didn't just change my life, you changed me." He stood, reaching into his pocket, not for a check, not for money, but for a folded photo. It was of a young boy and a woman smiling in front of a small bakery. "My mother ran a cafe like this," he said. "We lost everything when her business failed. She used to say, 'Kindness can't buy bread.' I spent my life proving her wrong. But the truth is, without kindness, all the bread in the world tastes like dust." He met her eyes. "You reminded me of her, of everything I tried to forget." Alina's throat tightened. "You could have just told me that." "I was afraid," he admitted. "Afraid of needing someone again." She took a shaky breath. "And now?" He smiled faintly. "Now I'm more afraid of losing you." Music swells, hopeful tone builds. He reached across the counter, his hand trembling slightly. "Alina Brooks, will you come back? Not as my employee, as my partner, in life and maybe in love." She hesitated, then took his hand. "Only if you promise one thing," she whispered. "Anything." "No more walls." He nodded, eyes glistening. "No more walls." And when she smiled, the same smile that had first annoyed him, then intrigued him, and finally healed him, he knew he was home. Weeks later, Café Bloom reopened under a new name, Hale and Hart. The menu was simple, the decor was warm. And every morning, the billionaire who once ruled boardrooms now served coffee beside the woman who had tamed his heart. "Still think kindness can't buy bread?" she teased one morning. He kissed her forehead. "It bought me everything I'll ever need." If you believe love can heal even the most guarded heart, tap that like button. Leave a comment telling us your favorite scene. And don't forget to subscribe to Heartspring TV for more emotional billionaire love stories. Because sometimes, all it takes is kindness to tame even the coldest soul. Thanks for watching Heartspring TV.